Home Alone is a 2006 video game that was released for the PlayStation 2 that took inspiration from the iconic Home Alone film franchise, and the game would be released exclusively in Australia and in Europe and would be published by Blast Entertainment. Now, this game would be more of a budget entry title, even though it has a popular name tied to it. That was the thing with a lot of these type of games, even from these developers. They would manage to gain access to big name brands and create games in them, but the games were kind of like mediocre or subpar at best in most regards, which was a pity, and this game is no different to that extent. So the aim of the game is that you play as the character of Kevin from the film, and the goal is to go through each of the levels trying to stop all of the burglars that are trying to break into the environment. You have to utilize any weapons or elements that you can use at your disposal to eliminate the enemies and to stop them from taking over the whole area. So the goal is to acquire tools and keys to lock all of the gates and doors within the environment that you're roaming around in, and you also have to hide and evade the burglars, because once they catch you, it's game over. And you pretty much have to do this throughout each level in the game. So you have to utilize various traps and weapons that you will place at different intervals to take out your opponents, and even use anything from the likes of bags of flour, even irons, and be throwing them at enemies to knock them out and to lower their health so that you can take them out of the equation altogether. So as you play through the game with all of the elements combined, you also have the ability to gain high scores. So the more interactivity you achieve in the game, the more scores that you will get. But the problem you have is, until you lock all of the doors, the burglars keep appearing. As long as there's a door left open in the environment, an infinite amount of burglars will just keep appearing, which will frustrate you. And especially later on in the level, when you've literally got one door to unlock, burglars just keep reappearing. As soon as you've gotten rid of one, literally 2 or 3 seconds later another one appears. So you can't really get near the door quick enough to lock it up to complete the level. So the concept behind the game has some nice ideas in terms of what it's supposed to do, but it's not executed very well at all. So much so that this game is considered to be among some of the worst games ever in history, and one of the worst games ever on the PS2. Because yes, it does have some nice features, but the game is very hard and difficult to play, and it can be almost infuriating at times. Even I found myself that playing it. It took me quite a few tries to really understand what to do, and even when I did do it, it's very, very hard to complete a level. You will spend ages on one level trying to unlock all the doors, because it's not a case of just walking up to a door and unlocking it or locking the door entirely. You have to find different toolkits or keys which are situated at different points throughout the level, so you have to get to them, and you can only hold 2 of them at a time, which is even more infuriating. There's a limited quantity amount that you can hold of any particular item at any time, and that even includes weapons and traps. So you'll find you'll have to keep backtracking to areas that you can remember where these tools are so that you can use them to unlock the gates. But in that time, a load more burglars will keep appearing, and they'll constantly keep appearing. So it makes it even more frustrating, because no sooner have you cleared a path so that you can get to unlock another door, there's nearly another burglar there waiting, or is about to come around the corner, and once they see you, they chase after you. Now, there is certain elements in the game where you can hide in little kind of like cubby holes or behind trees in certain areas that I don't know whether it was intended or whether it's an actual glitch, but there is certain elements of parts of the level where you can hide and keep out of reach of the pursuers. But once you go out and they see you again, you're pretty much tied to the area, because it's very hard to get around them unless you have traps. And in some cases, if you run out of items, you can be stuck in that area until you can try and figure out what to do next, which sometimes can lead you nearly to wanting to restart a level, which will just throw a lot of players off. Like, it has some nice concepts and it does have some good ideas, but it's very poorly executed. Like, even for myself playing the game, it took me quite a few tries to understand what to do in the first level, and when I finally figured out what to do, it took me ages to finish it. And even at that, I got down to the last door, but every time I went to unlock it, another 2 or 3 enemies kept appearing, so I had to get rid of them in order to try and get near the door. But then as soon as I did, I had to go back and get up more items so that I could keep going, and so by the time I did, another 2 or 3 enemies had appeared, so you had to go through the process over and over again. So in most cases, they have all of the angles covered, so when you try to go a different direction, they're moving in the direction where you're going, or they're nearly there when you're there. So trying to get to that last door to unlock it so that you can complete the level is in some cases impossible. It's just pure luck to complete levels in this game. That's why it is so disregarded, and that's why people find the game so frustrating. And it's easy to see why it gets slated online, because it's too cumbersome and too fiddly and just too frustrating for it to really be enjoyable, which is a pity. And games shouldn't be like that. They should be an enjoyable experience. But like I said, the game does have some nice ideas, but just it's not executed as well as it could have been. And for that reason alone, it is the sole reason why a lot of people overlook it. But again, you do have to understand understand that these are a budget type of game. Yes, they do have a big brand name tied to them, but they're not developed great. They're not put together pretty well. They're just pretty much a quick cash grab, just trying to build on success of popular franchises. And as a result of that, that's where a lot of people would have got caught out back in the day, because they would have seen a game that would have been tied to a specific franchise, and on the cover, graphically, so a lot of these games do look quite good, but then you go to play them and then you realise that they're nowhere near the level of quality that you would have expected from them. So you only realise then that you actually did waste your money, and that would have happened to a lot of people back in the day. So unfortunately, this is one of those games to do that, which is a pity. Now, it is playable and it will appeal to some, but it won't appeal to others, but it really just depends on what you think of it yourself. But again, I'll leave that up to you. But if you have experienced the game, I would love to know your thoughts on it, and if so, what did you think of the game overall? Did you find any sort of enjoyment out of it, or did you find it as frustrating as most of us have? So be sure to share it down in the comments below, and if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be updated with future videos. And if you would like to see more content on the channel around other types of budget related games similar to this seen on the PS2, you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action, and I will see you all in the next one.